entitled Effective Implementation of the Convention at National, Sub-Regional, and Regional Level. Distinguished delegates, I now invite the committee to continue its consideration of Agenda Item 3, entitled Improving the Procedures for Communication of Information as well as the quality and formats of reports to be submitted to the Conference of the Parties. The documents for the item are listed in today's journal. I now give the floor to the representative of the Unccd Secretariat, Ms. Andrea Thust, to introduce the following documents under Agenda Item 3. Note by the Secretariat entitled Improving Procedures for the Communication of Information as well as the quality and formats of reports to be submitted to the Conference of the Parties, contained in document ICCD/Cric20/9, Guidelines for the Technical Review of National Reports, contained in document ICCD/Cric20/Inf1, and note by the Secretariat entitled Draft Decisions for Consideration at the 20th Session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention, contained in document ICCD/Cric20/10. Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good morning, distinguished delegates. Decision 11 COP14 requested the Convention's institutions to improve the reporting tools for the 2022 Unccd reporting process, including, inter alia, the establishment of a geospatial platform and activities aimed at building the capacities of parties to respond to the newly adopted reporting obligations. In response to this decision, the Secretariat and the Global Mechanism undertook a series of activities. Document ICCD Cric20/9, together with document ICCD COP15/CST7 ICCD Cric20/8, which was introduced in the plenary of the Cric on Thursday, as well as document ICCD Cric20/Inf1, combine information provided to parties on all activities that the Convention institutions have initiated in response to Decision 11 COP14. Apart from upgrading and/or drafting good practice guidance documents for Strategic Objective 1 and 3, as well as revisiting indicators relating to Strategic Objective 4 and 5, the reporting platform for the UNCCD has gone through a considerable change. Capacity building needed to be reinvented since face-to-face meetings during the pandemic would have not been possible. As a result, the Secretariat has made a series of e-learning videos available on the capacity building marketplace for parties to use and undertake self-learning with their national stakeholders. The document before you also highlights that there are technical consultants available online that will help you to address all methodological problems that you may encounter while compiling your reports. We have had some delegates who have reported consistent difficulties with regard to the log-on procedure related to praise, and we have agreed in regional consultations to approach those delegations while here in Abidjan to solve them on a case-by-case basis. As regards the reporting timeline, COP15 is yet to decide on the date and venue of COP16 and Cric21, and it is expected that the reporting deadline will be set by the Executive Secretary in consultation with the Cric Bureau, taking into consideration those newly set dates and the progress made in reporting by parties shortly after COP15 will have been concluded. Dear Chair, distinguished delegates, in line with Decision 11 COP14, Conservation International has further advanced and expanded Trends.Earth to support the preparation and analysis of data for UNCCD national reporting in a format that can be automatically transferred to PRAISE. Trends.earth is a free and open source tool for monitoring indicators of land change and drought vulnerability. The enhanced version of Trends.earth supports not only the calculating of SDG indicator 15.3.1 based on the latest analytical methods documented in version 2 of the Good Practice Guidance for the SDG indicator, but also the analysis of geospatial data for the calculation of indicators used to track progress towards SO2 and 3 based on the Good Practice Guidance for National Reporting on SO3. In addition, Trends.earth supports the integration of globally available data with nationally or locally available data and allows parties to customize the methods used to account for local conditions. Dear Chair, distinguished delegates, the joint Cric-CST contact group has already finalized its negotiation on certain sections contained in the draft decision relevant for this agenda item, which is decision 6. The Cric contact group will be taking up the remainder of the decision, which is contained in document ICCD Cric 20/10, entitled Improving the Procedures for Communication of Information, as well as the quality and formats of reports submitted to the Conference of the Parties. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
I thank Ms. Thus for her statement. Now I would like to invite a representative of the UNCCD Secretariat, Mr. Brian O'Connor, to make a brief presentation on the updated Performance Review and Assessment of Implementation System of the UNCCD, PRAISE 4. Mr. O'Connor, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and good morning, distinguished delegates. I am a Programme Officer with the STI unit at the Secretariat. It is a pleasure to present to you today the UNCCD's Performance Review and Assessment of Implementation System, our PRAISE, now in its 4th edition. Parties will provide data through this web-based application during the 2022 reporting process. Suivant. Decision 11, COP 14, forms the basis for the development of PRAISE 4. The decision requested the Secretariat to use the resources available to further improve methodological guidelines and tools for the next reporting process. This provided the basis for changing how reporting is done from PRAISE 3 and for geospatial technology and tools to be made available to parties during the reporting process. PRAISE 4 was developed as a response, starting in 2020 in 3 phases: the design of a systems architecture for the software, the implementation of that architecture in an IT development process, and the testing of that software before going live. We at the Secretariat are already looking ahead and starting with the next phase of PRAISE development to be implemented after reporting has concluded. Now, suivant. Now, let's briefly look at some of the key features of PRAISE 4. It is a multilingual platform with the content translated in all 6 UN languages. It offers new geospatial reporting features never offered before to country parties. Parties can access it via reporting.unccd.int on their preferred web browser. The reporting space for each country is accessed by a secure login by the designated reporting officer and his or her delegated users. All the reported data is stored in a cloud-hosted database for ease of management and to enable easier analysis of the reported data by the Secretariat, while parties can still export a standalone PDF file of their national report from the system, just as they did in PRAISE 3. As in previous years, we have ensure that the TrendStar Earth software can be used to calculate the indicators from global and authoritative data sources. Conservation International is a core member of the GeoWN initiative and has a track record in partnering with Unccd to enable the provision of default data to country parties. On logging into Praise4, parties will find all this default data already imported into their reporting space. Suivant. Within Praise4, there is an interactive spatial data viewer with management, visualization, and creation of spatial data that support spatially explicit reporting. This means, for example, that for the first time, a party can report on a map the location and extent of key features of relevance to national reporting, such as the location and extent of land degradation hotspots, national voluntary targets, and related implemented action. Praise4 has inbuilt tools to support the submission and revision of national reports. For example, there will always be a current working draft of the national report made available to the party in the reporting process. Either a partial or fully complete national report as a revision to the Secretariat at any time. A party can create as many revisions of the national report as is deemed necessary prior to the reporting deadline, while they can still continue to work on other sections of the report through the current working draft. There is additionally a commenting function in the revision view where our technical backstopping team can leave comments on the parts of the report that need attention from the party. Parties can also add a comment to the revision to alert the Secretariat to anything that needs attention, help, or review from our team of technical experts. This will be a confidential dialogue between the Secretariat and the party, and we hope will ultimately improve the quality, efficiency, and integrity of the review of the revision. As mentioned, the country reporting zone is self-administered, meaning that the designated reporting officer can create as many users as is needed to support national reporting. This is particularly useful if responsibility for filling in different sections of the national report should be delegated to a particular national expert. All users can work in parallel on the national report at the same time. Praise4 has inbuilt support guidance and help. For example, the Praise user manual contains guidance on the operation of the Praise4 system. We also have a reporting manual. This is a detailed step-by-step guide to the reporting process and is a condensed version of the material contained in the 2 good practice guidance documents. There is a frequently asked questions section, which is a list of commonly asked questions with answers which are grouped into themes and we hope will help parties. Having exhausted these resources, if you are still unsure of anything, then please use the Praise4 help desk, which is manned by Unccd staff. Typing this URL into your browser, support.unccd.int. An important development in the reporting process. We feel that Praise4 is technically innovative and cutting edge. Big data in the form of extensive default data provided to parties is combined with open source web technology to assist parties in meeting their reporting obligations. The facility to create spatial data to support the process means that the can now be informed by data, and we encourage parties to share data to support this endeavor. The development of 4 aligns with a wider data-driven transformation taking place within the UN system in response to a call to action by the UN Secretary General to do more with data in everything we do while leaving no one in the UN data strategy. After reporting complete in 2022, we will launch a web portal that will grant users reporting data. A global space, common questions about our mission and mandate can be answered through a series of online visualizations, data dashboards, and interactive maps. There will also be data-driven country profiles. This will be a novel and a major step on our journey from data to better knowledge on land, while showing the impact of the Convention through the reported data. With this, I conclude my presentation. I thank you, delegates, for your attention, and to the Chair for giving me the floor.
I thank Mr. O'Connor for his presentation. Now I would like to invite Mr. Alex Zwoleff of Conservation International to make a brief presentation on recent innovations in Trans-Earth to support UNCCD national reporting. Mr. Zwoleff, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning. My name is Alex Wallace. I'm a scientist from Conservation International, and it's a pleasure to have a chance to talk to you today about some of the recent improvements we've been making in Trans-Earth to support country parties, both in reporting as well as in nationalizing data sets in support of the process. Next slide. For those who may not be familiar with Trans-Earth, first I want to give a little background on the work that we've done in the past. As mentioned before, Trans-Earth was developed by Conservation International partners with support from the Global Environment Facility in order to support countries during the last round of reporting to UNCCD. The initial focus of Trans.Earth was around the indicators for SDG target 15.3.1 and UNCCD strategic objective 1. And Conservation International during the last reporting round had the pleasure of getting to work with a good number of countries during capacity building events sponsored by the UNCCD. With further support from the Global Environment Facility, we've been working over the past 2 years, of course in close partnership with the UNCCD Secretariat, both to improve the support that we provide for monitoring Strategic Objective 1, as well as also addressing Strategic Objectives 2 and 3. So of course populations affected by degradation, as well as drought, hazard, and vulnerability. I also do want to note Conservation International, as a part of this work, has partnered with a number of additional organizations, in particular WOCAT and the Land Potential Knowledge System, or Land PKS. And the intent of this work is to ensure that countries are able to draw on a wide range of sources of knowledge, from local knowledge to ground data to remote sensing, such that countries can understand the drivers and trends of land degradation and improvement using the best available information that's directly responsive to their local context. Next slide. So Trans.Earth, of course, is free and open source software, so it's freely available online at our website, which is trans.earth. The particular focus, of course, is around desertification, land degradation, and drought. We actually also have worked with UN Habitat as well, so you'll see we do support indicators for SDG 11.3 as well around urbanization. A key focus of our work, as I mentioned before, though, is trying to ensure local ownership of the data and analytical process. So within Trans.Earth, there are functionalities such that users can directly integrate local or nationally available information, such that reporting to the UNCCD, again, can draw on the best available information, yet still report to the convention in a standardized way. Next slide. So just to highlight, of course, we've been very successful, as I mentioned, working with a range of users and partner organizations around the world, some of whom you will see here represented in the logos. Of course, very thankful to the Global Environment Facility for ongoing support of our work. Next slide. So just to get a bit more specific about the work that we've done in direct support of this reporting cycle. So again, the core data sets within Trans.Earth around Strategic Objective 1, the LDN indicators, productivity, soil carbon, and land cover, have been updated such that they now cover, of course, the periods of interest for reporting. We've also added new functionality, which I'll briefly show you in a moment, to allow assessing change in status relative to the baseline over this reporting cycle. Again, we've also added additional support for indicators around population affected by degradation, as well as drought hazard, vulnerability, and exposure. And I think most exciting as well for parties is that we have added the ability for direct linkage to praise for. So the goal here really, again, is to ensure that countries are able to nationalize their data sets within trends.earth, and then in as simple a way as possible ensure that both the tabular, the tables within Praise4, as well as the spatial data sets can be directly uploaded. Next slide. This is just a very quick example of what this might look like. We've been working closely with the government in Colombia through, again, our GEF-funded work on a project called Tools for LDN. This is an example of how within trends.earth you can calculate, of course, the baseline, which is defined from 2000 to 2015. Next slide. And from that, through integrating additional information, we can calculate change in land status. So essentially, what is the picture now in 2019? Next slide. And then finally, it's possible to directly export the results from trends.earth for import into Praise, which I think is a more seamless process than we were able to directly support in the last reporting round. Next slide. And so I do want to highlight there's also two more additional features that will be coming soon to trends.earth. The first is support for flagging false positives and negatives. Essentially are areas where a country may know due to expert knowledge that what is indicated in the data, either from a national source or from a global data set, may be incorrect. So this provides the ability to essentially highlight areas where corrections are needed to the data and to directly take into account that information in the final report. Next slide. Another exciting ability we've added is the ability to modify the land cover legend that's used within trends.earth. And so again, this is something we've heard many requests for from countries. Of course, many countries have national land cover maps that may have more detail than what is provided in the global data. And this functionality will allow a country to directly use that data within trends.earth. And I guess the last point I would just want to make is, again, as I've echoed throughout, really our intention within trends.earth is to be directly responsive to the needs of countries in reporting to the Unccd. And one key need that we've heard is to have the ability to nationalize data sets such that the data that is used within reporting can be aligned with national level processes, be they land use planning or otherwise, such that there can be a direct correspondence and coherence between data sets at the national level and those used within reporting. And this is something which, of course, we're keen on facilitating through our work on trends.earth. So that's all I have, and thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
I thank Mr. Zvolev for his presentation. Are there any delegations who wish to make a statement in connection with the reports that have been introduced and the ensuing presentations? Please press the speak button to request the floor, and your request will be recorded. I recognize the distinguished delegate from the United States. United States, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The United States welcomes efforts to improve the procedures of the Convention, including continued improvement of praise. We have one question and plan to propose one addition to the document. Our question is whether the proposed new indicators listed in 8C, D, and E have in fact already been included in the current version of praise, as we understand is the case for 8A and B, which were considered during the joint Cric CST session. Our suggestion is to include text in this decision that would further support further expanded engagement of STCs in informing Cric decisions requiring technical input. This text would be identical to text already adapted by the CST. Finally, we welcome the presentations and the engagement of a number of governmental and CSO partners in supporting the reporting process. We are particularly pleased to see the addition of the ability to flag false positives and negatives. We remain concerned, however, that the focus on reporting and increased reporting requirements may be, and in fact in many cases are, diverting national resources that would otherwise be used to plan and implement actions at local to regional levels within countries. We would like to ask the experts on the panel, if they wish to do so, to briefly reflect on the current capacity of parties to apply national reporting data and/or related data to national, subnational planning exercises, and if not, how the convention might work with other entities to increase the value of these data. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished delegate from the United States for his statement. I recognize the distinguished delegate from Algeria. Algeria, you have the floor.
Merci. Merci.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'd like to thank the team, the Secretariat's team, for the work which has been carried out. I just have one small question. It's regarding, well, my team is currently working on the database with the help of the Algerian Space Agency, and I will receive feedback on any problems. My question is, will COP16 happen in 2024, and if it does, will the Secretariat organize regional training workshops for capacity building for states parties? Thank you.
I thank the distinguished delegate from Algeria for her statement. I now recognize the distinguished delegate from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, you have the floor.
شكرا سيد الرئيس.
Mr. Chair, I have one question for the sake of clarification. Does Earth Trends or Trends Earth give accurate information regarding desertification and fighting drought? And has it been reviewed, has its outputs been reviewed by CST?
Thank the distinguished delegate from Saudi Arabia for his statement. I now recognize the distinguished delegate from India. India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I have several queries. First, I'd like to thank Global Mechanism and UNCCD coming up with the revised version of Trend Earth. I want to bring it to the information of the panel and the UNCCD Secretariat. In the last reporting cycle, in which India tried its best to use the national data for reporting, most of the country parties are using the default data, and it is very easy to use the default data and report it. That is the easy process. But when we use the default data, the quality of the information, and especially for a small country, the quality of the default data is very, very low, and therefore the reporting is undermined. We in India tried to use the default data, and we had a lot of problems, especially with the land productivity. The strategic objective 1 to improve the condition of effective ecosystem, that is the SO1, that says trend in land cover. That is very easy for us. Trend in productivity or the function of land. Here we have the problem. And the third thing is trend in carbon stock above and below the ground. So this SO1 and SO13 we are able to do when we the trend in land productivity. It is a function of so many other components like NDVI, soil moisture, soil productivity. So all together it has to be developed. So when we use national national data for reporting that strategic objective 1, we had a big problem, and we approached the Unccd Secretariat and science and technology interface. They were not able to assist us. So we have to go run around, and we use our space application center to getting the information put into the Earth, and we were ultimately able to report it. So there's a huge problem. I don't know whether you can still do with the national data again. Second point I want to mention that in strategic objective 1, SO13, we say trend in carbon stock above and below the ground. If you look at the same thing again, in SO41, we have trend in carbon stock above and below the ground. So there is a duplication in the strategic objective 1 and strategic objective 4. Kindly see, there's a duplication of the trend in carbon stock above and below the ground. And another one problem is SO42, which we say trend in abundance and distribution of selected species. It is very, very, it is not specific. It is not at all specific how a country party can show which are the some selected species and is distribution. Very specific. It has to be specific. Protected area to the total area of the country. So that kind of thing is very, very measurable and very specific. Otherwise, if we say trend in abundance and distribution of selected species, I don't think so. If it is given to the country parties to do whatever they want. So it must be specific. So any reporting has to be specific. Last time when there was a reporting, there was a regional capacity building for Paris 4. So for Paris 3, for Paris 3, we did it. And we are looking forward that for Paris 4, if there's such a exercise or such a capacity building exercise being conducted by Unccd, we want the timeline when we have to give the reporting. That has not been said yet. So it becomes very, very uncertain when we have to give the reporting. So these things are must be clearly stated so that we are on time. We can.
First of all, when we speak about the sustainable development, most of the of implementing the Unccd, how
I now recognize the distinguished delegate of Syria.
Possible that the data
access. So far, for example, I don't have the access to, to get into this. I know that some consultants were attached for region, for countries. Will be good to work with these consultants. I tried to do this while we're in our pre-COP in Marrakesh with the consultant attached to that country, but even the consultant could not do anything for Angola. So I don't know where exactly the problem is, but we need to look at this. The capacity building, as I said, it's very important if you really want to have good reports from countries.
I thank the distinguished delegate from Angola for his statement. I now recognize the distinguished delegate from Venezuela. Venezuela, you have the floor.
Good morning, delegates, members of the head table. Chair, we would like to recognize and commend the Secretariat and the Global Mechanism for bringing about the best practices guide that help in the preparation of PRAISE 4. We believe that for the implementation of the guides and to effectively integrate the SDG 15 and 15.3 in our national planning, we must increase technical assistance for increased knowledge and practical use of the tool. We believe that we must request of the Secretariat and the Global Mechanism that they continue to support capacity building to improve national efforts in drafting the reports. Given the strengths and weaknesses that we have in each country, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela has established a strategy involving a national group. We have a national fight against desertification and drought. We have the National Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology, the National Institute for Statistics, the National Institute for Agricultural Investigation, the Venezuelan Soil Division, and the think tanks and academic sector. This merits an upgrading and updating
I now give the floor to Cuba. Cuba, you have the floor.
Chair, thank you very much for the information when it comes to bringing about the national reports necessary for the work of convention. They very much to reduce the effects of drought and to bring about land degradation neutrality through innovative foci. Cuba, as with other islands in the Caribbean, faces numerous risks of drought and land degradation. This is all the more so with climate change. My country has numerous policies and laws and strategies on the national level. They prioritize attention to these items that have been discussed in this meeting. However, we need greater international support when it comes to reaching our national goals of land degradation neutrality to provide greater visibility to the region. Tool technology access. It should be quality processes. Reverse conservation, seeking a sustainable land use.
J'aimerais souligner l'importance de la cohésion entre la date de soumission des rapports et le renforcement des capacités. Il est nécessaire de concilier les deux, car les pays font face à des difficultés à ce sujet. Merci.
I thank the distinct
Je remercie la Tunisie.
Côte d'Ivoire.
Was made available to us, the report, and during those sessions we were informed that the deadline would be August. Now all of us know that no one
C'est bon.
Il y aura...
Allô. Oui. Allô. Oui, non, j'ai déjà mis, envoyé quelqu'un pour passer vous décommissionner.
Tu as fini alors?
Bon, je vais l'appeler pour te demander. Non, j'ai déjà.
Il n'y a rien eu là.
Je vais l'appeler.
Je vais animer pour vous là. Bon, j'ai 14. C'est mieux. Il n'y a rien eu là-bas.
Non, mais est-ce que l'heure est passée?
Ça devait finir à 10h. Ça va. Ça devait finir à 10h.
C'est quoi vous appelez la vie? C'est un peu. À quel moment ça fait? la config. C'est comme si nous parlons.
Drafts of our documents by the month
the praise system.
by the impact of land degradation.
However, we can't forget that despite
conferences building the global data center.
Thank you.